Senator from Colorado.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank my friend from Oklahoma for yielding. And I would like to talk today briefly about the Farm Bill, a measure that, thanks to months and months, actually years of tireless work by Chairwoman Stabenow, Ranking Member Cochran, and the other conferees on the bill, Democrats and Republicans in both houses of Congress. Thanks to all of that work, we're going to be able to pass this bill this afternoon. There's 16 million people, Mr. President, working in agriculture in our country today. These workers in our rural communities are demanding the certainty that comes with a long-term bill, and I'm pleased to say that we are passing not a 2-month extension, not a 10-minute extension, not a I hope we get it done tomorrow before we leave town extension, but a genuine good 5-year Farm Bill, which is going to give us a lot of certainty. This bill eliminates direct payments made to farmers regardless of market conditions or what they planted, and prioritizes what is working for producers, namely crop insurance. Mr. President, I've spoken on the floor before about Colorado's battle against historic drought conditions. Some of our farmers, I'm just going to show you, Mr. President, some of our farmers have lost half their corn yields in 2012. It's hard to imagine any business losing half its production in 1 year, but that's what's happened to many Colorado corn producers. 2013 was a little better for corn in our state, but it's hard to celebrate when producers still face significant losses fighting against this dry soil. The crop insurance program is what's keeping these farmers and rural economies in business in these tough times, and that's why it's a priority. That's why we should have passed it a year ago, 2 years ago, but today we finally have the chance to do it. Beyond crop insurance, another key highlight of this bill is its conservation title. I spoke last week on the floor about the revamped easement programs and the important linkage between conservation practices and crop insurance that has been preserved in this conference agreement. But beyond those highlights, the bill places a new emphasis on water conservation, which is so important to the West. Programs like EQIP and the Regional Conservation Partnerships Program are going to be critical as the West faces record drought conditions brought on by climate change. New conservation tools coupled with crop insurance to help hedge risk will help our producers as we move into a new normal of a drier American West. The conservation title programs help producers, but they also help the fish in our rivers and the wildlife on our lands. Here's a good illustration, Mr. President. Here's a great illustration of why sportsman groups support this bill. This is a photo taken of my friend John Gale hunting pheasants in Yuma County, Colorado. The Conservation Reserve Program, CRP, a program reauthorized through this Farm Bill, provides important habitat for pheasants and other upland birds all across the country. The land surrounding this photo is all CRP land. The program protects not only habitats, Mr. President, but also helps hold highly erodible soils in place, like the soil in Baca County, Colorado, where over 250,000 acres are enrolled in CRP. As you may know, Baca County in many ways was the epicenter of the area that was devastated by the Dust Bowl of the 1930s. Thanks to CRP, Baca County has weathered recent droughts a lot better than their forefathers did. Mr. President, healthy grasslands, open landscapes, and abundant wildlife are a fundamental part of what it is to be in the West, to be a part of the West. And we need to preserve those grasslands, those open spaces, and our species. And that's what the conservation title of the Farm Bill does. A lot of people don't know about it. It's a very important part of the Farm Bill. As a result, this Farm Bill is supported by over 250 conservation and environmental organizations, groups like Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, National Wildlife Federation, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and the National Rifle Association, among others. Mr. President, this legislation not only ensures that we have healthy croplands and grasslands, but also prioritizes the health of our forests, an issue of huge importance to Western states as we deal with our massive wildfires. Here you can see the Waldo Canyon fire from 2012. I chair the Agriculture Subcommittee on Forestry, and we did a hearing on wildfires not too long ago. We looked at the terrible fires that have raged across the West and the budgetary nightmare that they have caused, and Washington's inability to understand what we're actually facing out there. And my clearest takeaway from this hearing was that when it comes to our forests, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If we prioritize the fuel mitigation work on the front end, we will save on fire suppression and recovery costs on the back end. And if we don't, we will break our budget and not preserve our forests. The Congressional Budget Office has found that for every dollar we invest in forest health, we save $5 in costs associated with wildfire. This Farm Bill conference report makes these investments and gives the Forest Service new tools to treat areas in need of restoration and mitigation. This bill makes common sense reforms, Mr. President. This bill reduces the deficit, and it will bring certainty and continued prosperity to rural America. It passed the House last week with broad bipartisan support. I strongly urge a yes vote when we get onto the Farm Bill conference report later today. With all the uncertainty that our farmers and ranchers are facing in these tough times, in these drought times, it's the least that we can do. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.